Hello, I am TLG, and I'll be your caster today for week 6 of UCLA Esports. We are going to be going into UCR, University of California, Riverside, Highlander Gaming today. And before we get into today's game, let me just make sure you know the importance of this game. This series will decide whether UCLA will make it to playoffs. It is the last regular season game. And so as we go in, I'd like to bring up the team here that we're going to be playing with today. The Doggo here is going to keep up on the Jhin, the Aphelios, and all these kind of carry champs that we see, and we're going to really hope that Doggo actually makes progress here today, just as he did last week, in which he really helped our team just push through and take out University of Alberta. Of course, Alibye's our last one, who's playing Leona quite a bit, got a lot of these engaged junglers under their belt, and it helps set up all these team fights for our team to push through. And now, speaking about Doggo, one of our star players, we're going to look a bit at his stats over the past couple games. So we can see here his damage share is usually between 20 and 35%, or 25 and 35%, and that's pretty good for an ADC. What you're going to look for here is him being able to keep these outputs in these team fights. If you look at his kill share, especially on his Jhin games particularly, he is one of the main contributors to all of these plays that end up pushing forward and helping us get these wins. And so we're going to keep looking at Temetrius and currently our star player Doggo from last week as they push through into this last game, and we're going to really want to see them outperform everything that UCR sends at them. And I'll be happy to cast for you today. Let's get into the intro and into the game. And Karma bottom. So what we're going to want to see here is we have TF mid, and whenever you draft TF mid, he is now the star of your team, and he's going to be pretty good off with Hecarim this game, because when you have TF, you really want to look for the side lane plays. Gragas himself does not do a lot of damage, so he's probably not going to be able to do much, as Cam will actually be incentivized to buy MR. But if Hecarim and TF all go top at the same time, it's going to be really difficult for UCR's Camille to really do much about the engage. On the opposite side of the map, we do have TF being able to help out Jinx and Karma. He's going to have to watch out, though, because Samira's own personal wind wall will really stunt his ability to land his gold card. However, hopefully with the Jinx and Karma throwing out a lot of poke, Samira will have already used it, and TF will be able to swoop in, get that last CC, and just finish off the kill with the help of Jinx. So far this game, we're going to see a pretty standard start. The top laners on the top side of the half, the bottom laners on the bottom side, and people just kind of meet in the middle here. Asian Knight will be spotted out by Temetrius and Alibye, but they will only get a ward here as they retreat back into their river. We will see Hecarim starting bot side and Xin starting top side. So what we're going to see by this is that we're going to want to see Straws get probably a full 6 camp clear, because on Hecarim it's really important that you get that level 4 as early as possible, because you do go the QWQ into the E finally for your skill level up, and you're really not having any ganking potential until you get that E unlocked. On the other side, we do have Xin going blue, and he's going to probably do 6 camp as well, given that their paths aren't going to really interfere at all, and they're going to both have uncontested scuttlers for the most part. So Zen's going to really look for the Thresh and Samira to help him make a play on the bot side around probably the 330 to 345 mark in the game. It's going to be up to Doggo and Alibye, who, as Jinx Karma, are going to have a pretty decent amount of range and poke, as well as some shielding, and then the Karma W to keep them rooted for a short amount of time to stave off this gank. But as we can see, they're just going to be trading back and forth. Doggo is putting himself in a pretty good situation here, as he's already kind of chewing down the HP bars of UCR's bot side. Xin will be caught out by this ward here, so UCLA should be able to recognize that he will be going down to the bot side here. So this is going to be really important. Right now, Doggo and Alibye are being pushed in, so it won't be too much an issue if they stay where they are, because Zin's not going to actually have a lot of gank pressure without like a really good wave setup that allows for a tower dive. Right now, the UCLA bot side is going to be pretty easily defendable. First Poro is getting really nice trades here top side. I like to commend him for that, as LDC's Cam, the matchup is going to be probably a bit more Cam favored in the long run, as Cam has a lot of the percent HP true damage. Straws will be coming out here. Does not manage to actually successfully stop Cam's hook shot. Will force out the flash here as First Poro uses his own. Unfortunately for UCLA, that's going to be 2 summoners down just for Cam's flash. Ordinarily, Cam would not be running Flash, Cam would be running Ignite, and maybe if Cam was running Ignite here, that would have been a death. However, as Cam did opt for the Flash, which is a bit of a safer choice, she will live to see another day. Temetrius Morant is in the lane here. He's going to be shadowed a bit by Hecarim on the top side. He's doing pretty well with the Akali so far. Akali, of course, not being a super strong CSer and or laner with the amount of 5-point strike nerfs that have been going on in the past 1 or 2 years. And TF, although previously nerfed himself, is still a crucial and very strong champion to consider. First Poro is getting a lot of good trades here that usually wouldn't be allowed, but as we're seeing, the reason they're not allowed is because Cam trades back really well, and they're going to actually go back to a pretty neutral state after that. Hopefully Gragas with the tier and just the passive that allows his health to regenerate on the spell cast, he's going to be able to, more likely than not, sustain a lot of what goes on here. Temetrius is looking for a fight here, maybe asking a bit too much as he will blow flash. Gold card is being hovered, and he's going to not actually select any of the cards as he's going to back instead. Now it's a bit of a more aggressive play by Temetrius here. It did not work out because Akali, being Akali, is much better at fighting other champions than the minion wave. TF's TP will be going down here, so he can keep collecting the wave. And Doggo here on the bot side is in a really good spot. They just pushed in the wave. They're going to get that back. Maybe a Noon Quiver, given that he did do the long sword start. And we are going to see Noon Quiver control word purchase here, which is really nice because it helps him with the laning. It helps with pushing in. First Poro might be setting up another gank here. He will miss the charge, and Straws will just get a bit of chip here as LDCS is not in too much trouble. Big thing about Gragas is you have to watch out for that mana bar. His mana resource is the easiest thing to attack on him, as he depends on a lot of spamming of abilities. Karma might find them, and Karma will indeed find them on Dragon, but they're going to have to give this up as Hecarim is on Krugs on the top side. We can see UCLA has really devoted a lot of their resources to the top side here, so they're probably going to look to maybe get Rift Herald and go for towers so that they can easily rotate Gragas out of lane and force Cam to be in. Oh, Cam's going to actually get casketed into tower. That's going to be pretty big for UCLA. First Poro and Straws are low in mana. First Poro will be going to the wave here, just getting a couple minions. Straws might be able to kill LDCS. We'll have to see if Hookshot comes back. We do have the pots ticking, and it might not be enough. I think First Poro would have been able to get that kill a bit sooner had he not gone straight to the wave, but it did not matter as Straws and Poro get the kill with their lives still intact. Yu is going to be picking up the scuttle here and might be coming mid, as it is Akali going straight under tower to fight this TF, and unfortunately even with the ultimate, Akali does not have the damage yet, only holding on to an Amp Tune and a Dark Seal to finish off TF. I wouldn't be too surprised if TF picks up a Null Magic Mantle. I would not encourage a full treads buy that we are seeing in a lot of high level play by these mid mages who just want to immediately go for like the tanky boot that helps them against CC. But as we can already tell, there are 3 sources of AD damage on UCR, so an outright treads purchase would really not be nearly as effective as a plated steel cap. Straws is going to be in the brush here. Yu might have saw him. I don't think he actually did. Straws will be going in. Yu has the Crescent Guard active. Alibye might root him. Temetrius did come in with the Destiny Gate. Straws is a bit caught up, but healthy because Karma has a ridiculous amount of shield power, and it's going to be 2 kills now on the board for UCLA. Zhao really thought he could pull something off here. It's really hard because with a Karma as a support, you're going to have a lot of shield to press through and just slows because Karma Mantra Q is going to do a lot of damage and it's going to slow pretty heavily. And so when you're thinking about going into this, if Thresh doesn't really hit anything, you're not going to have much to go off of. And so there was just not enough damage and not enough shutdown to really keep UCLA's bot side down before Straws was able to help and secure the kill on UCR. Of course, First Poro is going to be pretty much shoved in the entire game here. We see he is down somewhat in CS, but that's only to be expected from playing Gragas into a Camille. Zhao will actually be getting the Rift Herald here, unlike what has been going on for most of the beginning of the game. Zhao is now finally topside to claim the objective, and we'll see that Straws is actually going to be generally focusing a lot more on clearing camps and not actually on the objectives. We'll have to see how much this works out in the long run, as he will maybe get like level advantages and CS gold advantages. This rocket will hit them, no, it will not hit them, as Samira will be able to deflect it with her little wind wall here. But as I was saying, Straws is going to be probably concerned about making himself stronger and try to get early item spikes, whereas the Zhao is currently looking a lot for these objective plays. Straws will be caught on these wards here. LDCS does have Yu countering nearby, but Straws will instead go for the Scuttle. Will be found by Yu, however, it will not be enough, and Straws gets away with his life. Scuttle does go to UCLA, and Yu is kind of left here without an ult. There's a pretty decent play here for UCLA, as they were able to get both the Scuttle and the ult out without really putting too much into the fight themselves. Temetrius is getting a bit low on mana here. Opts to do a bit more poking. He does have the Unsealed Spellbook, which is a really great utility choice on a TF. Early game, if you use that TP pretty early on, like we saw this game, you can easily switch it out for an Ignite if you want a bit more kill pressure. Exhaust would be probably pretty good here, as Akali and Zhao are pretty aggressive and would like to look for kills themselves on the squishier TF. Ooh, that's a great charge by Hecarim. Will push them towards the river, forcing the flash out of Samira. Thresh will try to put the box down, but it will not slow enough, as Straws is just ruthless in his pursuit. That phase rush probably helping out quite a bit there, just staying on top of them as long as possible. Yu is here to kind of hover and will be seen by Straws. Nima is not really healthy enough to fight much, will instead just be taking a bit of these Krugs that are flying out, and Straws and Alibye will probably end up stealing the rest of the camp, trying to get Nima away from the tower. If this cannon wave can crash, no, it's not going to end up that way. But if that cannon was able to crash without Nima being close by, that would have been a lot of XP and gold lost for UCR's bot lane. That would have been pretty good for UCLA moving forward. We do see them start up this dragon, but they're not going to actually go for it. Rift Herald is going down bot side, so that's going to force them to really look to either choose which objective to manage. And they are going to instead opt into stopping the Rift Herald and giving away this Hex Tech Drake. And so one thing to note is that this Drake, I think, in my personal opinion, is one of the best stat, or like the Drake itself is much better than other Drakes, not like comparing the soul, but to the individual stats that Drake gives. And I love the 5 ability haste and attack speed that it gives you. Attack speed itself is a very interesting stat to get from a neutral objective. Here Straws is going to be clearing up more of his camps. Straw has been pretty crucial so far in this game into really keeping UCLA afloat in the kills department, as he's been 100% of the kills so far. Temetrius is going to be hovering, and this is where we're going to see Destiny Gate really shine. Cam is going to be tower dived here and sent away from the tower. Her Hextech ultimatum will not be enough, as, oh, never mind, is it? It is enough, and it's a 1-for-1. Cam will get that shutdown on Straws. First Poro and Temetrius are looking kind of low here. Can Asian Knight and Yu do anything about it? And I don't think they can. That gold card is going to deter Asian Knight from really doing anything more. They will get that control word in that brush, and they'll just both back here. Maybe Asian returns to lane. It seems that Asian does choose to return to lane. Alibye here is in the bot side, just trying to keep them from getting too much of the tower. And So far, it looks like both teams have their own ups and downs going for them. UCLA does have that 2K gold lead. They're going to have a bit more items. That's around 500 probably on each champion, assuming that none of the gold difference is really on the Karma. And Straws is looking with a ghost to get Asian Knight here. Will stop Asian Knight from being able to keep getting the tower, but as Temetrius was just slightly too far away, he will not be able to gold card the Akali out of the Shroud. We do see that the Unsealed Spellbook has provided Temetrius here with the Barrier Summoner spell, and so just like Exhaust, that has the same kind of emphasis on trying to live. He'll probably use that in case he gets either ulted upon by the Akali. If he's able to save his HP before it goes down, it helps against dealing with Akali's damage spike with the execute from the R2, and just overall will keep Temetrius alive just a bit longer. Everfrost will also be pretty nice as it can be used to stop Akali in Shroud. It seems that Temetrius and Straws are looking for a play bot lane, as we do see a bit of trading happening top. Yu is here, but I don't think UCLA knows this. They know it now. Bot lane tower will go down. Sky Lego does get the hook on Doggo, but he will be able to kind of just back out. Akali is going to TP in case their fight breaks out. Straws does actually get hit by Yu, but will instead charge out of there with Hecarim ult. And so this was a bit of it was a play in which both teams kind of gave each other something. Oh, that is so close to hitting that Mega Death Rocket, nearly finishing off Thresh there, tried to go for the wards. But this play was good for both teams and bad for both teams. It got a lot of the abilities out of... Ooh, Temetrius with the flash does land. Unfortunately, Everfrost does go short. He will have to ult. Destiny Gate comes out. He will not get the gold card off as Temetrius is able to Hextech Ultimatum time it. Straws will be here to help out. LDCS is just barely hanging on. Will be falling to First Poro here. Asian Knight in Shroud gets R2 off. Now Zin's here to help out. Yu, what is Yu going to do? Asian Knight's about to fall. Straws is going to get that shield last second. Asian Knight is not going to fall until after Straws is down. And now can Yu finish off First Poro? First Poro is going to live here as Yu falls to Doggo. Doggo is already 101, and when you're looking at a Jinx game, you're going to look for two things. First thing is going to be, is there anything that threats Jinx? Is there something of the nature of a Vi or not who can immediately really attack her? So we're going to go into a replay here. LDCS does manage to get the red buff, but Temetrius very quickly with the gold card. He's going to stun her, and then Cam's going to be sent back by Gragas cast. We're going to see here Straws pulling up here with the charge. Does not actually make it as he does not know which way to go. And because of this, it actually kind of lets Temetrius die as he was not in the fight fast enough. Asian Knight will be using the Shroud here to make sure that they stay alive just a bit faster. First Poro is getting pretty low. Yu percent HP damage does knock him back quite a bit. Straws will go down, unfortunately, as Asian Knight is able to evade everything just so barely, and Doggo is going to have to pick up the kill here. And so this was a really... It was an even play, but it was definitely more favorable to UCLA, as although there was an invade going on that resulted in UCR getting that buff, it did not actually stay with UCR, as all of the members in that fight ended up dying. We see here in the Dragon Pit, they are going to claim Scuttle as the Dragon is starting up, but they are split. UCR is going to get hit by Yu, and Yu is going to get the Lantern out of there. However, that is now ult down for Zhao. Seeing this fight, it does seem that Zhao will be just able to steal it here. However, this fight is going to go on. Samir gets a massive ulti, and that's going to actually, with the help of Camille, take down Doggo. Camille is going to keep going as Samir is just running all around the place, and that's going to be an ace, it seems, for UCR. That was a rather tragic turn of events where UCLA did have a decent amount of control over River here, but with the way that they were in the middle and UCR had this amount of flanking going on, that the splitting really distracted them from the fight. They ended up losing the Hextech Drake, or the Ocean Drake, and then ended up all dying. Samir's massive ulti, and we'll see this right here. Alibye going in. We see ultis immediately out by Hecarim and Yu. However, Yu does get saved. Now we're going to see here, Asian Knight is on the flank, and that's going to be very difficult for UCLA to deal with because he has direct access to Doggo. Unfortunately, the E does go wide, and that's not actually what happens. It's the Hextech ultimatum into the Samira ult that really punishes UCLA. And even though they have Karma, it's just not enough to deal with this. Going to the next fight here, Straw is going to be going after Yu as they are contesting second Rift Herald. First Poro is going to hit the eye. Straw will get Yu with the red buff. However, the rest of UCR is along here. They will not be able to contest the rest of it. And so UCLA does manage to get a bit out of this as UCR has now just kind of overextended just a bit. Hecarim tries to do more, but Thresh will flay him successfully away from Nima. Nima is trying to look to get any amount of poke in along with Asia Knight, but it will not be enough. Rift Herald will be put down instead as all UCLA's members are here in the mid lane. Hecarim is going to look for any amount of play in the jungle. It seems that instead of going to try to fight Nima, he will instead take the camps. Nima's shield bow will get activated by Doggo, and unfortunately the Mega Death Rocket will go wide. Gragas will be pulling up in the bot side here to clear the wave, and TF the top side. And so now we're going to really want to look to this last dragon fight that we're going to see in 2.5 minutes. This fight is going to give Soul, and that's going to make Zhao Cam really hard to just kill. It's going to give a lot more heal regeneration. And when you're thinking about Cam with Death Stance, that's already taking Ignore Pain like damage where it's over time rather than all at once. Bursting down this kind of champion is going to become really, really difficult. And then as soon as any amount of takedowns has occurred, it's going to start regenerating some of their HP, and so it's going to make these kind of more tankier carries very difficult to manage. On the other hand, if UCLA is able to keep contesting dragons, they will hopefully be able to really get this Jinx accelerated. We see that Jinx is not even at 2 items yet. If Jinx can get 3 or 4 items in the coming fights, it's going to be really difficult as she will massively outrange most of UCR's team. And so it will be really dependent on whether Samira, Akali, Zhao, or Cam can jump on him, on Doggo, or if Thresh can get the death sentence out. But what's most likely going to happen is First Poro is going to look to pry Peel along with Alibye. They're going to be targets in front of the Jinx, and it's going to be very difficult. We do see LDCS going kind of early onto First Poro as UU is not there in time to follow up, and First Poro will not be terribly threatened. Top side, we do see both mid laners here as Straws will find that he's warded. Temetrius will choose to make the play to go straight into Akali, and it's going to be a lot of CC between the Gold Card and the Everfrost. First Poro and LDCS are going to match each other's TP. Both end up in the top side as the rest of UCR seems to want to actually go onto them. The Hextech ultimatum does go out, and the Death Sense does hit First Poro. That's actually massive for UCR as they're able to pick up 2 kills here. Their entire team was just to this one tower here. And although they're going to lose a mid tower here on the bot side as Alibye and Doggo are pushing the wave in, they are going to get 2 kills, or 3 kills, and they're going to get the tower here. Maybe Cam can even push up a bit more. They will go to Baron here. I think this is not necessarily the greatest Baron as they will choose to actually back off. Definitely this Baron could have been contested by UCLA at some point. Jinx and TF could have walked up, hurt them. Jinx has a lot of AoE, and that would have really made it more difficult. You don't know if the splash damage might steal the Baron or just kill off someone, especially with the Mega Death Rocket. And this dragon is really what you're looking for. It's up in 3 seconds now here. And we're going to see Temetrius is going to desperately try to move this mid wave out so he gets a bit more pressure and a bit more vision naturally in the mid lane. Doggo has already put himself in the middle of the river, started the Drake. I don't know if that's the greatest thing in terms of placement, and he's actually going to be out of the fight here as Straws goes in, and Asian Knight's going to be right on top of Doggo this fight. Sky Lego will go down almost immediately. Asian Knight is going to be pretty hurt as even though in Shroud, not necessarily going to be immune to damage, and it will be Zhao who will actually go on top of the Doggo for that kill. Samir, really massive ult, will not be necessarily enough to completely finish off, but LDCS on that cam is very, very tanky and manages to get away from the gold card as Temetrius will give him the thumbs up as he accepts death. and this is going to be Seoul to UCR. And so here we're not likely to see a comeback from UCLA anymore, as they are going to be down a Seoul, and the gold is now even. And when you're looking at games like this, you can possibly factor in scaling. But you also have to understand that scaling is not always done in a vacuum. Jinx scales, yes. Karma scales, yes. Samira does not scale. But does that really matter when Doggo, as only has Gragas to rely on for peel? And so as we see here, Doggo's completely out of the way. Hecarim goes in with the ult. Yu does get a lot of damage soaked up as well with Sly Lego, and it's just not enough. Asian Knight has a perfect angle to go onto Doggo here. Will take up a bit of damage, but it does not matter. Look how low Doggo gets from that R, and then the flash W by Yu just picks off Doggo. And this is what I'm trying to mention earlier, that even if you scale, scaling means nothing to a dead man. And Cam is going to be mighty healthy for the rest of the fight, has a great amount of gap close. Both times now Temetrius has tried to really, or all times Temetrius has tried to gold card so far this game, Cam has just masterfully Hextech ultimatumed it. And so Cam has really been one of the main issues to deal with, in addition to the amount of engage that UCR has. UCLA will be sitting here in a 1-3-1 split. I think they're catching on to the fact that they are on Baron, as they will be rotating over. Temetrius is looking for something on Asian Knight. Asian Knight's in a great spot to really deter them from going in. Skylego does miss it, and it does seem that they're off Baron. So LDC does hook shot to keep aggro open, but I think it's a bit late now. I think if UCR really stuck to Baron, and Yu and Sly Lego tried to keep them from entering from the mouth of river, and then Asian Knight kept the flank protected, it would have been very difficult for UCLA to actually contest. And now what we're going to see is that they're going to just kind of sort back out into lanes. Maybe LDC will pick something up. First Poro is doing a good job of kind of keeping things under control, but that is Hextech Ultimatum on Strauss, and LDC is going to go down as the entire team is here. Alibye is going to get caught out with Doggo falling. Nemo does go in, and that shield bow healing in addition with the 5-man ult is going to be very devastating. It's so much damage, and in return it's a lot of HP gained on Yu. And it will be once more Alibye, the only one actually living in this fight, having played pretty far back, trying to just be a supportive character. And so this is like the main issue with UCLA this game, is that although Doggo on the Jinx is supposed to be good here in the later stages of the game, it does not matter if Jinx dies. Jinx dies way too quickly, TF dies way too quickly, and honestly, Gragas and Hecarim aren't the best at keeping them off, because the LDC's Hextech Ultimatum can just ground one of them into a set location. And then when you're talking about a lot of these like one-time attacks, Temetrius' gold card, the Mega Death Rocket, it all gets easily blocked by Nima's Windwall, as we are seeing right here on the Baron Pit, and it's just making a lot of the utility and the damage that UCLA does have to dish out just mitigated. So let's look a deeper look into this fight here. First, Poro is going to get hit by LDC, and so far it looks like it's going to be really good. LDC is kind of out of position, but if you see Doggo, Doggo's really trying to get shots in, but just not in the right spot. Doggo should be hovering a bit closer to the mid lane and not towards the river, and that's where Asian Knight's able to easily get in. Once the team's already lost its damage, Nima can easily just go in and kind of take as much away as possible. Asian Knight does fall into Alibye here, and that's just not going to mean much, because Alibye is not the one doing damage. Alibye is just the one that wants to put shields on people, that Charlie is going to help speed people up, and that Chemtech Future Fire is going to help people keep the UCR's champions from healing, but it's just not enough. You don't want Karma being the fed one. You want this Jinx, who's only got 2 kills this game. You have 18 kills on the team as a whole, and your carry has 2. TF is a great laner for getting kills, but we saw that there was a lot of focus on the top side of this game and not enough on the bot side, and Jinx ended up falling kind of far behind because of that. LDC is kind of ignoring First Poro here, and it's gotten to the point where LDC is really far ahead that on cam they can just go after these turrets over and over again. GA is a pretty big second bite on Yu here, because it's just allowing him to really recklessly go in onto Doggo. And as soon as UCR kills Doggo on that Jinx, the fight's over. There's no more damage from UCLA. And that is the fatal flaw of their draft this game. And we're seeing that it's not enough for UCLA just to have the vacuum scaling answer. Stopwatch is going to keep the... Oh, wow. The R2 from Asian Knight actually saves from the traps, the chompers of Jinx. I was not expecting that. I was expecting that it would not be fast enough. They will end up taking the inhibitor tower here, and UCLA is just going to struggle to mow down these Baron minions. Asian Knight is going to be taking top side as LDCS is empowering these minions bot side. And it's just a lot of pressure. Oh, and now Straws gets caught out and almost immediately taken down. Unfortunately, Alibye is not enough to keep them alive. Yu and Nima are going in. Nima does cast the ult, does not get much out of it, but it doesn't matter. It's a Samira. Ult cooldown doesn't exist. Gragas does get caught out here, and he's 1v5. It's not going to be good. Unfortunately, he's going to go down. LDCS does pick up Alibye. Alibye does go golden. However, that means that Nima can easily go onto Jinx, and then that's going to be Karma dead shortly after Temetrius here in the backside, and there's just nothing he can do anymore. He's actually going to fall just as the game can close. And so that was a great first game. Unfortunately, we were not able to get the win. We did fall short in that we did not have the objectives, and the Jinx just did not have the peel and did not survive long enough in these very crucial fights. So we'll go into a short intermission, and I'll see you all in the second game. Let's hope we make it back.